put your hands together and please welcome your moderator, AOL Build's very own Donna Freakin, and today's guests, Mr. Bear Grylls and Julianne Hough.
Hi, guys.
Hi. I don't know if you can tell, I took some of that back home with me and have been exfoliating with it, but...
All right, so let's just get right down into the poop. What did it smell like?
Poop.
Really elephant, like warm elephant poop just smells like poop? Did it have a...
there was a different stench for sure, but I don't think I can even explain it. It was very distinct and very unique, and I can tell you though, when we did taste it, have you ever had like spinach and it like makes your teeth feel weird? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? It's like squeaky.
Like there's something sticking to your teeth.
Yeah, that's how it felt in my mouth.
I'm always thinking, where are you getting your spinach? Because that was not tasting like spinach.
No, it doesn't taste like spinach at all, but it felt like it in your teeth. It was just gross.
Well, let's backtrack.
To save your life.
It could save my life.
Remember.
Let's backtrack. How did this come to pass for you, Julianne?
A couple of different reasons. I had a few friends that had been on past seasons. Zac Efron, I did a movie with him, and Kate Hudson, and they were
Barack Obama.
Yeah, Barack Obama. You know, we're just best friends. But they were telling me how fun it was and how, like, because I love adventure. I grew up, you know, camping and hiking and stuff with my family, and we're always on the lake, and just, you know, I'm always the first one to like jump off the cliff while like my brother's looking over and being like, should I do this? And you just see me being like, woo, you know, so I was like, this would be something that I would really, really enjoy. And I'm a huge fan of bears. So there was that component, and I don't know, it's just fun. I was so excited about the elephant dung. I couldn't wait to go.
Bear, how do you pick people for the season? What criteria do you look at?
Well, we've been so lucky, you know, we've often kind of really got the people we've really hoped to get on the show, but we draw up a list and then we write to them and try not to show them too much of the grisly bits and show them the nice bits of other shows. And then it's just trying to juggle diaries and stuff, but we don't do a lot of the shows. We try and keep them special, and we do with them with the best guests. And we try and do it with people who we think viewers would be really interested to see what they're really like kind of out of their environment, you know, whether it's, you know, president away from a podium or someone like Julianne away from the dance floor and the you know, the gloss of a kind of studio. And I think for me it's the magic of Running Wild, as you get to see a very raw, kind of glossy side of people. That's always the appealing part because it's real, you know. But it's funny, just backstage, one of the girls goes, is it really like it is? Is it really real? You know, and I think often the guests are surprised. I mean, less so you, because you kind of knew it was going to be an adventure, but sometimes they kind of expect there to be a catering truck somewhere or, you know. But I think it's good for these people to be taken out of that sort of really glossy environment just for a little bit, for 2 days, to be treated like a normal person and go on a proper boys' own or girls' own or whatever adventure and do it for real, you know. But she shone bright. Julianne was amazing. She might look girly, but she's tough as steel.
How do you come up with the specific adventures for each person? So why Africa for Julianne, for example?
We try and push the environments every time and pick different type ones, and also we chat to the guests and say, is there anywhere particularly you'd really love to go? I try and do it where we can film a couple of shows in each environment. I try not to go too far right or left so I can still say goodnight to the kids. That's actually, if I'm honest, that's one of my criteria. Try and stay on a similar time zone. So I always have a satellite phone with us, partly for our safety. We have satellite phone, anti-venom, and generally, if we need it, a rifle somewhere tucked away in the gear bags. But a satellite phone is for much for me to say goodnight to the kids.
And what was in your backpack? Talk me through this.
Not a lot, but
you didn't have a hair and makeup artist with you?
No.
You didn't have a catering truck?
No catering, no hair and makeup, no wardrobe. I mean, I was literally wearing the poop-stained clothes literally the whole trip. So, but no, I mean, I had maybe a change of shirt or something to sleep in, makeup wipes, not makeup wipes, but like refreshing
face wipes,
and like deodorant can spray, which we actually used to repel off of like a 150-foot cliff.
I saw the clip and I was wondering about that. Like, because you mentioned deodorant, and I was like, what? Like, so he doesn't freak out that you smell? What's the deal here? Like,
I love it when we take girls because you know, if you open, as you guys will know, if you open up the zip of a lady's vanity case, there's like a treasure trove of survival gear in there. And
Only you would say it's survival. I think everybody else would be like, why do you need all of this stuff?
why do you have 8
No, I
mascaras?
said to
Bear's like,
Julianne,
you
I
can
said,
kill a
would-
snake with one.
I said, would you mind if I borrowed your body spray? And you looked at me and you went, oh, okay. You know,
Sure,
not
yeah.
thinking.
No.
But actually we used it to hook a rope across, jam it into this rock crevice and rappel off it. And Julianne was going, really? This is never going to hold us. But it's like the principle of, you know, if you've got a stick and you break it like that, it's going to break. But if you hold it close and then try and break it in the middle, you can't break it. And she went, okay.
I know, I'm looking down over the cliff and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really far down. I hope you know what you're doing, which
I didn't
I'm sure he
have a
does.
moment. No, that was good. I knew that would work, you know.
Yeah.
It was a little bit more dented by the end than I thought, but
Yeah,
it worked.
You flicked it off because we were saying that we wanted to make sure that we had the rope again instead of just tying it to a rock. So when you flipped it off, it came down and it was like full on dented, like pierced through. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought it was going to be a little less dented than that.
The thing is, then you're straight into something else.
Yeah.
Julianne's not great with snakes, is one thing I learned.
I was going to ask about that because that seemed to me from what I saw, your one moment of complete and total, like, kind of shutdown.
Yeah, like I mean, I was so excited about the adventure. I literally couldn't sleep, and I was just excited about all like the thrill-seeking stuff. But the snake that kind of took me a little bit by surprise. We actually saw. Well, Bear saw 2 cheetahs. I didn't even see them until he pointed them out. And then, so that kind of got my heart racing a little bit because I was like, oh, they're like these wild cheetahs. And then we're like crawling and trying to get past them. And we hop up onto this like it was like a big rock, but it had this little tiny opening that we had to crawl through. So just as I was about to go in, I heard like the tss, and I was like, what? And I like jumped off. I was like, snake cheetahs, with snakes cheetahs, which one am I gonna choose? So I ended up crawling next to the snake and we made it through, but then Bear wanted to eat it and I was like, that's not gonna happen.
Well, Julianne's going hard left, so I've got her in one hand and then I got the snake's anus in my other hand. You know, I'm trying to kind of pull the two together to see if we can get the snake and then we can make that dinner out of that. And she's going, no. And then I'm going, there's nowhere to run because the cheetahs are up there. So,
Yeah.
But so we struck a deal, which was if you don't eat the snake, you'll eat whatever, you know, you got to eat, you know, you need energy. We'll find something else. She goes, anything. I'll
What
eat
did you
anything
eat?
else.
They were called striped policeman caterpillars, right? And the elephant dung that we boiled them in. So it was very appetizing.
It was like Nobu level dining, is what you're saying.
It was 5-star for sure.
Bear, one thing I
There was a little bit of gag going on.
Oh, it literally, thank goodness for editing, because it probably took me a good like 20-30 minutes to try to even get it in my mouth. I kept like trying to go like this and it would go past me.
I do think it's it is hard. I sort of take it for granted, I think, because we've done it so much. But I think it is hard for people eating survival food, and good for you, you know, total respect. It did take you a while, but you swigged these big old caterpillars down with a whole lot of elephant dung juice and
Just got
go
all
girl, you know, good
over,
for you.
too.
just, you know what? It almost looks like a green smoothie, though. Like the ones that cost $10 at Press Juicery. I mean, you
There
got
you go.
for free.
Exactly.
Some survival foods are hard to disguise, as you potentially call that a green smoothie. I mean, we just finished filming last week with Courtney Cox, and we found this rotting sheep in this swamp. And I stuck the knife into it to see how rotten it was, and literally some gas explodes, and all these maggots are oozing out, and she'd go, ugh, you know. And so I go, well, that's good, we can collect the maggots, but what can we put the maggots in? So at this point, the blood sort of draining from her face. So we cut the testicles off, took the testicles out of the sack, filled the testicle sack full of maggots, tied it up in a knot, hung it off the back of her backpack, and then boiled it up later like like a dumpling full of maggots. I didn't see the blood return to her face for about 3 days. But you know, one of the things I've definitely developed is a respect for our guests who come, and they know it's going to be part of it, you know, but they're still like, you know, you're hungry, you got to do it. And the girls are often, they're often tougher than the men. You know, it's inspiring.
One thing I have to say that I love about the show so much is you get really personal moments with people. Like the Kate Hudson episode, she was talking about her family life and her upbringing. I mean, I've honestly never heard her speak about that candidly before. What was something that you learned about Julianne that really surprised you?
There's so many lovely moments on this journey, and you're right. The real strength for me of Running Wild is how honest people are, and I think the wild doesn't judge you. That's a nice thing, you know. It doesn't care, you know. But Julianne was honest throughout it. You know, you were very honest about some of the experiences you've been through. You know, growing up, you know, being away from home, dancing, some of the challenges you had there, and in a really sort of courageous way. And that's not easy to talk about some of that stuff, and I won't spoil it, but it's on the show. And I admire you for your courage, not only on the rock faces, but also for your courage to be able to share those things, because, you know, it's not easy. But I do think when you're honest and you shine light on difficult subjects, it goes away. You know, it's a bit like bacteria. If we ever want to clean a sleeping bag, you haven't got a washing machine for 3 months up a mountain, you turn it inside out, hang it on the top of your tent, sunlight hits the bacteria, and it comes out clean. And it's a bit like that with our stuff. You know, when we're honest and we put it out there, it's like a problem shared is halved, isn't it? So good for you.
And what did you learn about yourself? That you can eat crap.
That, but also that I'm an open book, obviously. Like, I'm just like divulging so much information. But it's really because, you know, Bear makes you feel really comfortable. And it is in a situation, in a setting where you kind of feel like you're stripped of all of the pressures of kind of maybe who people think you are or who you feel like you need to be. And so it kind of takes you back to that like kind of young child. And I know for me, like growing up with my family, like we would go hiking and camping and stuff like that. And so it really brought that kind of back into, back into my life. And when we were out in the journey and stuff, it was fun and it was freeing, and it was just, Bear just makes you feel really comfortable and lets you just kind of talk, and whatever my journey was, you know, hopefully it resonates with somebody else, and you know, they get inspired by that, and hopefully that's the case there. But yeah, I think just like perseverance. I mean, it was like either run from the snake or the cheetah, or just go for it. And I think that was the biggest thing, is that like if I don't commit, then I'm gonna get hurt, or I'm gonna be more scared or more afraid. So like the more I commit, the less afraid I think I was. So
Bear, when you prep someone for this journey, what do you tell them? I mean, do you have very specific guidelines on what they can bring, how they physically can get ready? What's the process?
We always say, come on your own, leave the entourage behind, and trust me. You know, we'll keep you safe. There might be a few scrapes and bruises and cuts and grazes, but you'll be in one piece. And it will be hopefully a really life-affirming experience, but there will be a little bit of pain along the way. And bring a bag of fortitude and enthusiasm, you know, because the thing is, it's easy to start things well, you know, same in life, you know, it's harder to finish them well. And I notice with a lot of the people take away, you know, by the time you get to the next day, you've had no sleep and you're freezing cold and you're still wet, and suddenly it's like, you know, it just gets harder. But that's the magic as well. That's where you see what people are like, and the honest stuff comes from. But I must say, Julianne especially was incredible. She, you know, her positivity. Initially, you think, can somebody be this nice and bubbly, even when you're like, free, you know, cold and scared or whatever? And she was. So it's a credit to you, and it's also proof that with so many of our guests, they reach the top of their profession because they've got great attitudes, and they use that attitude, you know, on our journeys, and it shows.
You also feel just like a total badass, not gonna lie. Like you're just like repelling, and you're just like, oh, it's so good. I feel like I'm like the king of the world. And oh, we got to like pull the flare gun. Wait, he was gonna pull it, and I was like, can I pull it, please? And so we had it, and it was just like, oh, it's just such a thrill, and the rush and the adrenaline. And I hope that I can get a lot of my friends to do it, because it was such a life-changing experience.
We're building a bit of a club really now. It's like the Running Wild Survivors Club. But it's good, you know, and people should be proud that they've done it, and you know, because as I said, I'm super respectful for people who do it because it's out of your comfort zone. You don't need the money or the fame. Do you know what I mean? You're doing it because you really want to be challenged like this, and I think we get less comfortable with stepping out of our comfort zone the more famous people get. But actually, as you guys know, it's important for our edge. You've always got to be out there. So good for you.
And how much, before we go to the audience, how much did you know about what you were going to experience before you got on the plane?
I just knew that I was going into South Africa. I was going to Cape Town, and then they drove us like 3 hours away. I was passed out in the car because I was so jet lagged. And then I still did not know where I was the whole trip, and then had no idea. But I just knew that I was with Bear, and I knew I was going to be taken care of. And I was just ready. I was just super excited to just fully commit to whatever it was. And now I have this like recorded for my life, and I can be like, oh, I did that.
When you have kids, you can be like, yeah. Mommy was so cool.
So cool. I was like Laura Croft, but blonde. Yeah.
And now let's turn it over to our audience.
Hi, thank you for being here. Were there any night animals that kept you up at night when you're sleeping?
Yeah, well, speaking of the cheetahs, so I was not prepared for the cheetahs. I don't even think you were too, because you turned to the crew and you were like, okay, we do not mess around. These are wild animals. So I was like, wait, Bear is scared? I'm really scared now. But we went to sleep, and because I was jet lagged, I didn't sleep a wink. And I really had to pee a lot, but I was too scared to go outside and like outside of the little cave, and because the cheetahs were there and it was raining and all sorts of things. So the cheetahs were the thing that like really scared me. And there was snakes. Yeah, we were in Africa. It was scary.
Meanwhile, I was sleeping like a baby.
You're like, the sound of the birds.
Yeah, I've had to share some amazing camps with great people over the years. It's fun. Like a couple of days ago, we slept in a pile of leaves with Shaquille O'Neal. That was interesting. Literally, all you could see was both of our heads poking out. But I said it's like, what do you call it, compost?
Compost.
Compost, you know, and you stick your hand in the compost. It's warm, isn't it? It's like generating heat. It's like, and it's dry. So I thought this is perfect. It's like soft, dry, and warm. What are you complaining about, Shaq? You know, Julianne had to sleep on a rock. You know, you're lucky.
And last question, please.
Hi guys, thank you so much for coming. My question is for Julianne, and there's this quote that says, "It's the fear of doing that makes the doing hard to do." So I was wondering, just in this case and just life in general, what's worse for you, like the anticipation of doing something or the actual execution?
The actual execution of doing something? Or the journey getting there? I would say that our fear is what actually holds us back, and we don't need that, you know, we're so much more capable of what we are. Our limitations are basically what are holding us back in our head. And when you're in your head, you're dead, as Tony Robbins actually says, which I think he was just over here. But you are, you know, and so when you're holding yourself back that way, I think that's the only thing in your way. But the journey and the actual experience is I think what makes the success of fulfillment. And so I don't know if I answered your question correctly, but
you did.
Yeah,
you did.
but I think that I mean, whenever I shoot a movie or when we're doing this journey, it's really fun to be able to watch the movie at the end of the day or watch this show at the end of the day, but it was so much more fun being there in the moment and actually enjoying it and not being worried about what the end product was going to look like, but just enjoying it and being authentic and real. And when you're like that, I feel like the end product is just going to be what it is, which is you and real and awesome.
And Bear, when can we watch this?
These premiere August the 1st and the 2nd. Yeah, thanks, Del. NBC, 10 o'clock. And Nick Jonas won his first, and then Julianne is second. And then we got Shaq and Lindsey Vonn, Marshawn Lynch, Courtney Cox, Vanessa Hudgens, and I think that's it. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's a Grease reunion. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.